Imagine an order without swords, but with iron will, without force, but with ruthless discipline. Ancient Sparta did not seek the chosen among the stars. It forged them from boys torn from their mothers' arms at the age of 7. This is not Star Wars. This is the Agoge, a system where a child was cast naked into the Tigris Mountains with only a knife and the command to survive. Hollywood gave us muscular gods in crimson cloaks, roaring before the Persian horde. But what if beneath the bronze helmets and rhetoric of heroism lay a machine engineered to produce trauma? The film 300 gifted the world an aesthetic of courage, but erased the blood, the stench, and the fear. Real Sparta did not celebrate the beauty of battle. It cultivated cruelty as method. Boys were beaten, not for hardening, but for breaking. They were taught to steal, to lure cunning, yet flogged if caught. So shame would outweigh hunger. They were sacrificed to Artemis Orthia, not metaphorically, but literally. Ancient sources, including Plutarch, attest to ritual killings at her altar. So was the Agoge school of valor or state-sanctioned violence cloaked in patriotism? We won to trust myths forged in the propaganda mills of King Leonidas or modern screenwriters. We'll go where legend falls silent, into the mud, the cold, the cries of those history deemed unworthy of a name. The camera slowly descends into the narrow gorge of Apothetae. The wind sweeps dry reeds across the slopes of Tigris, their rustle whispering like forgotten names. Here, according to ancient chronicles, a newborn's first and final fate was decided: to live or vanish without a trace. Not by father, not by mother, not even by priest, but by a council of elders, cold as the stone beneath their sandals. They inspected infants like livestock at market for strong bones, clear eyes, absence of deformity. The weak were not abandoned. They were returned to nature, so the legend claimed, but were babies truly thrown into the chasm? For decades, archaeologists searched the Apothetae for infant remains. They found mostly fragments of adolescents and adults, likely helots or criminals. Myth or ritual? Perhaps both, but in a subtler, more refined form. Not crude murder, but war rejection. A child simply left to die beyond the city walls, where no one would hear its cries. Now, imagine the mother, the same woman whose son would later steal cheese and be beaten bloody for failing to conceal the evidence. She knows attachment is weakness. Love is betrayal of the polis. Sparta demanded not motherhood, but patriotic estrangement. Better a dead hero than a living coward, they said. But who decides where the line lies between hero and victim? Today, such practice would be a crime against humanity. Then, it was genetic hygiene, endorsed by Lycurgus himself. We call it eugenics. Sparta called it duty. So where did the true Agoge begin? Not in the mountains, not in the barracks. It began in the cradle, and in the silence of a mother forbidden to weep. At 7 years old, the boy is ripped from home like a weed, without remorse, without farewell. His name is erased, his body stripped bare, his hair, the last remnant of childhood, shaved to the scalp. He is no longer son, no longer brother. He is paged boy, in a system where individuality is a luxury for the weak. The camera follows him down a narrow Spartan alley, where mothers silently turn away, hiding their eyes. The barracks gate is not a door. It is the threshold between human and weapon. Inside, cold. Not the romantic, epic chill of mountain peaks, but a damp, bone-deep, cold. They sleep on reed mats they've gathered themselves from the base of Tagetus. Soft bedding is shameful. Shoes are humiliating. One cloak for the entire year, even in bitter frost. Hygiene, a bitter joke. Dirt is not the enemy. It is an ally. It hardens, disinfects, turns skin into hide. Sweat, blood, then sweat, again. That alongside black broth with a floating mouse, if they were lucky, is their daily fare. But the most refined torment is theft. Yes, you heard correctly. Sparta didn't just permit stealing, it encouraged it. Food, clothing, even weapons. Not for gain, but for training. Learn to move like a shadow, think like a fox, vanish like smoke. Caught? Then you're beaten. Not for stealing, but for failing to hide your tracks. Pain is your teacher. Shame your motivator. Hunger your ally. This isn't cruelty. It's methodology. The Lycurgan code, written not in ink, but in scars. Then comes Artemis Orthia, not the gentle huntress of Athenian myth, but a goddess of blood and pain. Once a year, at her altar in Orthia, boys undergo an initiation worthy of a horror thriller. They re-whipped, not symbolically, but until bone shows, and not by adult executioners, but by older boys. Spectators shout, place bets like at a racetrack. Who will last longest? Who will fall first? Who will scream? Who will die? Some, according to Plutarch, did die. Their bodies were carried away in silence. The victor received no medal, only the right to be called Aner, a man. So where are the Jedi here? Where is wisdom, balance, inner light? There is none. Only iron fear and a system that turns children into instruments of violence and calls it valor. Sparta didn't it create heroes? It stripped away everything human to leave only what could kill. And if this is the famed Agoge, perhaps the true horror isn't that it existed, but that we still admire it. The camera bursts into the dim hall of the Syssitia, the communal mess where teenage boys sit in utter silence until an elder issues a challenge. Speak a word or starve. This is no metaphor. In Sparta, silence was weakness, but chatter was a mortal sin. Here they learned laconism, the art of killing with a phrase. Come and take them, King Leonidas replied to the Persian envoy demanding surrender. One sentence, and war began. Spartans trained their tongues like muscles, short, precise, merciless. Slip up, and you remocked. Hesitate, and you lose your ration of black broth. Words weren't for communication. They were weapons of control. And individuality? It was erased like a hilot's name from a tombstone. In the phalanx, a dense formation of shields and spears, there was no I, only we. Your shield protected not yourself, but the man to your left. Drop it, and you betrayed not yourself, but all. The phalanx breathed, moved, died as one organism. This wasn't tactics. It was cult, a collective mind forged through terror of rejection. 1 is nothing, 10 are strength, 300, an immortal myth. But who led them to this unity? Not Lycurgus, Drylors, but living mentors, Irenes. 19 or 20-year-old youths who could survive the Agoge and now broke the next generation. Between them and the boys formed a bond ancient sources call pederastic. Not in the modern sense, but as a lover-disciple alliance. Plutarch writes, the elder chooses the younger not for beauty, but for spirit. Yet behind this noble phrasing lay rigid hierarchy. Love was conditional power, absolute. Refuse and become an outcast. Accept and surrender not just your body, but your will. This wasn't romance. It was a chain of violence. Yesterday's victim, today's executioner. All this accompanied by music. Yes, Sparta sang, but not hymns to Apollo. Embateria, marching songs drummed to the rhythm of footsteps. Flutes, drums, choruses of boys chanting rhythmic slogans. This wasn't leisure. It was trance. Monotonous, hypnotic, erasing thought. The poetry of Alcman, forced into memory, didn't praise love. It enforced obedience. Word, rhythm, step, all served one purpose: erase the self, embed the machine. So where are the Jedi? Where is wisdom, compassion, balance of the Force? Sparta didn't teach listening to an inner voice. It taught silencing it. It didn't teach choice. It taught obedience. And if the Force is the power to master oneself and others, then Spartans were its dark knights long before Darth Vader. But then the question arises, whom do we truly honor when we admire their valor? Heroes or jailers who trained themselves? Night. The moon hangs over Laconia like a sickle above a sacrificial altar. Shadows slip from behind rocks. Not enemies, not fugitives. They are Agoge graduates. Their final test doesn't happen in barracks or end on the parade ground. It begins in darkness, knife in hand, with one order: kill. Welcome to the Crypteia, Sparta, secret police, where silence is worth more than a sword and murder is obedience. This isn't a military operation. It's a ritual of terror. Once a year, after a year of surveillance and patrols, young men are not merely permitted, but commanded to hunt helots. Not rebels, not criminals. The strongest, bravest, most capable slaves, the ones who might lead an uprising, they are not killed in battle. They are slit in their sleep, ambushed at wells, lured into traps with promises of freedom. Sparta didn't wait for threats. It eliminated them 2 generations before they could be born. The Crypteia is the Agoge's final exam. It tests not strength, but the ability to kill without hatred, fear, or remorse. Because pity is a crack in the armor, and armor must be seamless. Sources: Plutarch, Thucydides, even the Athenian orator Lysias agree. Spartans did not just kill helots. They killed the best among them. Prevention through blood. State terror disguised as a rite of passage. Imagine a youth whose hands still remember trembling from cold on reed mats. Now he stands over a sleeping helot, a man who fed him, built his home, tilled the fields where he learned to march. He raises his dagger. No words, no prayers, just a muffled strike and silence. By morning, he returns to the Syssitia empty-handed, but with a new status: hoplite, full citizen, full weapon. These aren't defenders of the Republic, they re-executioners. They weren't taught to save the weak, they were trained to eliminate potential strength. Where is Jedi harmony? Here, where is morality, choice, inner light? The Crypteia has no light, only darkness where state and killer merge, and duty becomes bloodlust. An Agoge graduate is a man without fear, but also without soul. He doesn't fear death because he is its instrument. He doesn't laugh, cry, or hesitate. He obeys His body is the polis, his shield, his mind the law's blade, his heart an empty fortress, where even echoes fear to speak. Sparta didn't want heroes. It wanted the perfect weapon, and it forged one from flesh, pain, and the systematic annihilation of all that is human. But then arises a question neither Plutarch nor Herodotus dared ask. If valor is measured not by whom you kill, but by whom you refuse to kill, then who was truly weaker, the Spartan who struck, or the helot who forgave him in his final breath? The camera cuts abruptly from the moonlit silence of the Cryptea to the dusty plain of Thermopylae, but not the one in films. No perfect ranks of 300 shields, only a narrow pass reeking of sweat and fear, where Spartans stand shoulder to shoulder with Thessalians, Phocians, even Boeotians. Those Sparta scorned as soft, myth says, 300 against millions. Reality, about 7,000 Greeks against 20, perhaps 30,000 Persians. And even in this battle, Spartans weren't invincible. They were a delay, a sacrifice by design. Leonidas knew his detachment wouldn't win. It would buy time with its own flesh, strategic suicide, or the despair of a state that could no longer afford to lose citizens. Because Sparta was already dying, harsh eugenics, constant losses, the cult of purity, all had burned humanity from the polis. By the 4th century BCE, fewer than 1,000 full citizens remained in Sparta, 1,000 surrounded by tens of thousands of helots who farmed, built, and stayed silent until they revolted. Elitism became vulnerability. The system that forged the perfect killer forgot how to reproduce and how to grow. The Agoge never adapted. While Thebes learned maneuver, Sparta still marched in phalanx as in the Bronze Age. Flexibility was weakness, and weakness was death. But history forgives no rigidity. In 371 BCE at Leuctra, the Theban general Epaminondas tore the Spartan phalanx like rotten cloth. Their invincibility collapsed in a day. Iron discipline proved a poor substitute for strategy. So where are the Jedi? Where is the wisdom that teaches not just to kill, but to survive? Sparta built a weapon that could not fire in a new world. And when the world changed, it simply rusted. The camera rises above the ruins of Sparta, wind driving dust through empty streets where silent shadows once marched. Jedi? No. Sith? Neither. Spartans were something worse. They believed their cruelty was virtue. Their force didn't flow from balance. It was seared by whips at Artemis Orthia's altar. The price of this illusion? A society degenerating into an empty fortress. Fewer than 1,000 citizens by the 4th century BCE, surrounded by tens of thousands of silent helots whose hatred grew quieter than the Cryptea's footsteps in the night. Today, special forces teach survival, but not theft for shame. Military academies forge discipline, but not the breaking of self for the phalanx. We've adopted their endurance but rejected ritual violence. Yet, in every march, every GCN test, every instructor endure, the ghost of the Agoge whispers softly. We admire their resilience but fear to admit true strength isn't in killing without trembling. It's in the power to stop. So whom do we truly honor? The ones who survived, or those who kept their humanity against all odds?